Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me today. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of game testing and something slightly different. It's a big milestone for my YouTube channel. I've been doing this for a few years now, and we're about 50 subscribers away from hitting 100k. So I thought I'd do a little bit of special stream just to kind of commemorate this moment. I always imagined when I reached a certain milestone that I would get, I'll do some kind of live stream, do some fan interaction, and have a little bit of fun with it. Or at the same time, we'll be playing a few games on Mac as well. So the plan today is that we're going to be working on a video that I'm going to be putting, need to get the footage for, and it's basically a test to see what the difference is between the M5 MacBook Pro, the base chip, and how RAM will influence the performance of games. So we've got 16, 24, and 32 gigabytes that you can configure your Mac for these days. And of course, this is a unified memory platform. So it means that 16 gigabytes as the baseline is pretty good, but probably not enough for a lot of the high-end games. For example, Assassin's Creed Shadows probably benefits quite a lot from having a bit more memory. So what we're going to do is just run a few benchmarks. I've prepped the 24, 32 gigabyte versions of this same M5 MacBook Pro. I put a little sticker on here. You probably can't see it very clearly, but that's for kind of my own benefit. So I can see in the corner there, you can see that 16 gigabyte sticker because otherwise the MacBooks look pretty much identical. And we're going to just do a little bit of testing and, talk a little bit about Mac gaming, etc. Yeah, so I've had the privilege of, running this YouTube channel for, I've had this channel for a really long time now. I first, put up videos of my son Benjamin. A couple of them went viral. One of them went mega viral. And then I kind of left the channel for many years. And then I started uploading kind of Mac repair tips, adding a solid state drive into those old Intel Macs, how to repair an iMac, all that kind of stuff that I was doing with my day job. And then when the Apple Silicon Macs came out, I figured out that there was almost no information about how Macs run games because the new ARM architecture and Rosetta 2, etc., the Catalina update meant that a lot of 32-bit games were mislabeled, so they were playable, but and then there was all these alternative ways of playing games on a Mac, like Windows gaming through Parallels, which came out about 1.5 months after the Apple Silicon was released, and then Crossover got updated, and all of these methods of running games on the Mac have had kind of the ebbs and flows, and it's really interesting seeing how Mac gaming has progressed since then. So what I'm going to do now is just do a little bit of game testing, and hopefully, I'm going to keep an eye on the subscriber count, which I've got on the browser listed here. But yeah, we're just going to have a look and see what. I'm going to do some basic benchmarks. So I've got the 16 gigabyte M5 Mac at the moment. And what we're going to do is do a few benchmarks. So I want to be testing out like RAM memory pressure, basically. So if I understand correctly, the metal HUD on the top right-hand side here, it says like 5.2 gigabytes of video memory, and the app is using 9.82 gigabytes. So we're just in the menu at the moment. So I just want to check here what the memory pressure is like, because that gives us a lot of information. So it's saying here 9 gigabytes is being used. We also have Steam running in the background, which I don't actually need right now for this macOS game, which runs for the App Store. Let's try and reduce the amount of background services so that we reduce our memory pressure. So right now it's using 9.14 gigabytes. It says here 9.82. Let's just get this the right way around. And then we'll run the first benchmark, and then I can read the chat a bit better. So we'd have frame rate limiter off, Metal Effects set to quality mode. And then what I'm going to do is use is there like a scalability option? Is there like an overall preset? Yes, there's medium. And then what I can do is run this benchmark. So I'll just do that now and just see how this goes. We'll run it a couple of times just to see how it looks. Okay, good. Yeah, 50 people. Thanks, GhostKWeb, for joining the stream. And we've got Ryan. Can we get 100K, hopefully? And let me see, Edgar's. Can you please test Rust, the Apple Silicon version, not Windows 1? I'm not going to be doing much in terms of requests at the moment, unless you do a super chat. So my aim today is to try and get information on how this game runs in different levels of RAM usage. So let me put the Metal HUD there. The app is using 11.49 gigabytes, and that's at the medium graphics setting with Metal FX. So we're not running at the highest resolution. So what I might do is just turn this up a bit so I can add more pressure to this, just to see how it performs. Because I want to be able to see a noticeable difference between the 16 and the 24 gigabyte versions of this game, and the frame rate difference. Why not I choose 16 by 10? I just prefer 16 by 9 for content creation purposes. So almost all TVs and devices use 16 by 9. Almost all 4K monitors, almost all monitors in general are 16 by 9. And it's the most direct comparison between like Windows games and PS5 games and stuff. None of those things really support 16 by 10. And even the Mac display technically isn't 16 by 10 right now because of the way that the notch works. The full scale, the full screen aspect ratio is actually slightly off from 310. So I'm gonna basically do what I've been doing for a really long time, which is just run 16 by 10. I mean, there's also, if you run a Mac Mini as well, you're unlikely to use a 16 by 10 aspect ratio unless you buy an Apple display. Let's see what. Let's put this back. Okay, so let me see what that's medium, right? So we're not really affecting our memory usage right now. So right now we're still in the green. Okay, so what happens if we do go a little bit harder on this? So Ryan asks, I downloaded a game on my Mac from Steam recently. It didn't warn me it was 32-bit until I opened it. Is there a way to play these games? Basically, you need to play them through translation layers or virtual machines. So Parallels is a good way of running a lot of these, games that are 32-bit only. Like, for example, x86 32-bit games like Fallout New Vegas, which are always like returning to, run a lot better on Parallels than it does than trying to run it through Crossover, which is unusual, I suppose. Okay, let's see what we do. We put this on high. See, it's saying that we have a higher VRAM budget. So let's go ultra high. No, that's not realistic. Let's go. Yeah, you can see the higher the texture usage, texture memory usage. So put this on very high. Let's just try that again. I'll restart. Put it on very high and restart. See, you can already see the memory pressures started to apply here. Do we have memory information here? RAM usage. Yeah, it's saying. There's a lot being used here. So this is on very high preset at 1080p. Yeah, hopefully Postal 2 will work. The easiest way to test that, to find out, is just type in Postal 2 Mac, and then see if anyone's made a video on it, because it's, someone's done it through Parallels here. Like I said, probably the best way to go about it. Okay, let's see if we can run this benchmark. This is a very high preset. So we're using 11 gigabytes. We only have 16 in total unified memory. So that's including texture memory as well. Hey man, it's been a while. What's the difference between Mac RAM and VRAM? VRAM is video memory, and on most PCs, the way that you on most PCs, the way that you'd have system memory, which is the RAM sticks that you plug into your PC, and then your graphics card will also have VRAM, which is like video memory, and that's specifically for holding things like high resolution textures, and the buffer is required for that. And basically on a Mac, we have unified memory, which is a blessing and a curse, because the memory of the video textures and stuff and the system memory are all mixed into one. So if you have a 16 gigabyte Mac computer, it means that you only have 16 gigabytes to share between the game and the video texture memory that it uses up. So you can see here, here on the metal HUD and right in the center of the screen, you can see it says the app is using 15.21 gigabytes. I turned up this graphics preset to very high and it's using more texture memory because the textures are higher quality. And the frame rate is definitely taking a hit. So you can also see on the left of that RAM, you have the metal. So 9.72 gigabytes of the 15.3, I believe that's correct, is being used up in video texture memory. If you were running on a PC and you had 16 gigabytes of RAM, that would be reserved for like system stuff, and then your graphics card would have 2, 4, 8 gigabytes of memory to use that video texture stuff. So in a way, the 16 gigabytes on a Mac is well behind an equivalent PC with a discrete graphics card would use. So you can't, it's not really apples to apples, especially when it comes to gaming. I mean, it's fine for other stuff like, you know, running local AI models. It's great because if your Mac has got like 64 gigabytes of RAM, that's way more than texture memory, video texture memory that a normal graphics card, consumer graphics card you could actually buy would use. Okay, so 1080p. Okay, so we've got this very high preset, and let's just look at the history. Yeah, we've gone over the 16 gigabytes of memory, and it's started to go into swap. So swap is basically the process of, you know, once the system runs out of RAM, it starts dumping the information onto your solid state drive. And, you know, the Mac solid state drives are fast, but they're not as fast as RAM. You know, there's orders of magnitude difference between the internal solid state drive speed and the Mac speed. So, you know, when it starts running out of RAM, you'll see a massive dip in performance because, you know, instead of using that really fast RAM, you're stepping down into a slower solid state drive to do the swapping, right? So so what I'm going to do now is just run this benchmark again. So 1080p very high. We'll just see how this looks. So in theory, the M5 between the 16, 24, and 32 gigabytes of memory should all perform the same pretty much, as long as they don't exceed this 16 gigabyte total memory. Yeah, there's a magnitude of difference between RAM and solid state drive. So I'll just, yeah, let me look it up actually, because this is my own edification here. So so Mac internal solid state drive speed is something like 5,500 megabits, something like that. Like if I use something like what was it? Crystal Disk Mark. What is the internal SSD speed M5 MacBook Pro? I'll just look that up. So 6,000 megabytes per second. What is the RAM speed of M5? Yeah, so with the difference is, so that's 5 gigabytes per second, and the RAM speed is 153 gigabytes per second. So that's, you know, thousands of, that's a lot of times difference. It's like 30 times faster, is that right? Am my maths correct? 25, 30 times faster to use the RAM. So you need RAM in order to, you need memory in order to put files in there so it can be accessed quickly. So if you're, you know, imagine your game, right, is looking at a level and it needs to store everything quickly. It can't just be, you know, every time you want to look at an object in the game, right? You can't have that. You can't have the game, you know, find a file, find that texture on a solid state drive because it'll take too long. It needs to be buffered into that memory so that it can run quickly. And when you run out of it, it's bad because you're bottlenecked by that. That's a huge bottleneck to go from 153 gigabytes per second to, you know, 6 gigabytes per second, right? And so typically you'll see massive tanking frame rates as soon as you run out of memory. So what I'm going to do is just run that benchmark again. So it's useful to have. I'm not even doing the extreme version of this, because the extreme version of this would be basically not using the very high. Like if I used, if I turned off Metal FX, right? Let's say turn off. Let's just turn off native AA. So if we do automatic native AA, apply, and then we run this benchmark again. I'll just run this again. So, yeah, swap is better than it was before. It's better than a hard drive, which is like 150 megabytes, or maybe 250 megabytes per second. It's better than the old days where we had mechanical drives. Solid state drives are relatively fast, but yeah, here we're running at native resolution. So this is native 1080p at very high, and we're going to have, like, I think, more dramatic differences because we're look at that VRAM budget. It's 10 gigabytes. The funny thing about this game is that I actually live in Awaji. Okay, is that where this game is set? That's cool. Have you played this game, Ryan? Because it'd be cool to walk around like a historic version of where you're living. Is the download speed slower in Steam via crossover compared to native Mac Steam download? It could be because of some bugs with MSync, which were fixed with crossover preview. So if you download the latest crossover preview, you might find that runs better. We're about to go on the great meme reset of January 1st, 2026. So how about we get Game of the Year, 42 Blade? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm Mac T3. Is that a game? Okay. So my theory is that I'm running this at very high native AA. My theory is that on 24 gigabytes, then this might actually work better. So I'll have a look at the back of this in a minute when it goes through. I can look at the memory pressure history. It'd be really interesting to see how this performs. Have I tested the latest 3 Tomb Raider games on the M5 chip? Okay. I did some benchmarks of Shadow of the Tomb Raider in my first M5 MacBook Pro video. I haven't really followed it up since then. Okay, so 20 FPS. Net40, 100K MacBook Pro M5 giveaway. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. All these MacBooks are getting returned, sorry. Okay, so 20 FPS. Let me just write these down, actually. I'll just write down my results here, actually. So, so on the list, so 16 gigabytes, so I've got shadows, shadows at 1080p native AA very high preset. This gets 20. Okay, let's just so I put that under the view. You can't really see it unless you full screen, and you can see like the memory pressure has gone. So we've started using 2 gigabytes of swap already. Okay, so I think what might be quite handy to do is just to do a direct comparison, right? Shall we do that? Yeah, let's do it. Or shall we just do them one by one? No, let's do one by one. I want to get the results for Cyberpunk as well, and do a bit of crossover stuff. Here's an ancient question from 1996. Can it run Quake? Yes, you can run Quake on this. If you go to a really cool website called macsourceports.com, and then you type in the word Quake, there's a VK Quake, Vulkan Quake. It's the source port. So, Quake is open source. You just plug in the data from the original game, put it in the right folders, and then you're done, basically. So VK Quake, this will run on Apple Silicon natively. You get the binaries here, and then just plug in the files in the correct place, and you can play Quake, and you can play multiplayer as well. It's pretty good. Okay, so let's load up our Cyberpunk, and then we'll run a benchmark. So let me think. Yeah, let's run Ultra again. So I've done this Ultra benchmark before, but I'm just going to do it again see if there's a difference. The Quake 2 remaster was awesome. I haven't played that. I think it's probably just better just to get the source port. Thank you, Noor Mohammed Shikalgar. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, hopefully we're going to get 100K later today. I'm not sure it's going to happen during this stream because I'm not going to be streaming that long today. I'm going to be here for an hour or two. So we'll just see how we get on with it. Koreans don't take China Union Pay, so I can't buy crossover lifetime license. Oh, that sucks. Must be another way to buy it though. Okay, let's put this on Ultra. So this is on 1080p Ultra. So what I want to do is run this on Ultra with Metal FX off. Can you turn it off? Off. Okay. So basically, let me just do this again. Let's put on Ultra and then ray tracing off. Okay. Ultra ray tracing off. This will like really push, this will kind of punish the laptop a bit because I've run this benchmark before with the scaling, and I have a feeling this will run better on the 24 gig. So what I'm going to do is switch to 24 gig after I run this benchmark. I will run these benchmarks again, and then I'll just compare the results. So my results here, I'm just writing them down. Let me see, 16 gigabytes, 20, and then Cyberpunk 1080p native. Did I say ultra or very high? Ultra. And then 16 gigabytes. Let's see what we get with it. I'll just double check the preset in a minute. I was thinking about trying to run Silent Hill 2 Remake on my MacBook, but it's already pretty choppy on my gaming PC. It can run okay on crossover, but one of the limiting factors is going to be the amount of memory that we have. You know, if we don't have enough memory, it just doesn't run very well. Right. A lot of the latest generation Windows games that came out this year, for example, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Last of Us Part 1, Part 2, Alan Wake 2, Silent Hill 2, they use up a lot of memory, right? And if you don't have enough memory, then it's gonna really suck trying to play that game. Okay, let's see what result we're gonna get here. Yeah, Unreal Engine 5 is a culprit for sure. Yeah, so I think this is. Oh, ray tracing is turned on as well. Okay, let me just go back to the setting again. So the preset was, let me see where the preset was. Ultra. So what was ray tracing turned on? Let me just run that again. So let me just do this again actually. Just want to get the settings the same. Running at Ultra with Metal FX off. So that runs it at 1080p, like native resolution. Let's do that again. You play the game on the GTX 1080 between 40 to 60 FPS high. Okay, that's not that bad. So I'm83, don't have MasterCard or Visa. That sucks, and also PayPal is also confusing. Yeah, it kind of sucks if you're in China. There's a lot of things you can't buy. But the other thing is that if a lot of Westerners go to China, there's a lot of stuff you can't buy in China either. I have yet to get my Alipay to work properly yet. Okay, so I think frame rate's better on this one for some reason, but let's check the memory pressure as we continue on, just see how this runs. So I think I put it on Ultra and then no Metal FX. Yeah, so Ultra and then Metal FX turned off. And let's see what the frame rate chart says at the back of this. Yeah, 29.8. So I'm going to write that in, 29.8. Okay, so we'll try and use these two numbers to try and do like an accurate comparison, and then if I have time, I'll compare more numbers, but it's kind of hard to know. Actually, we'll do one more benchmark while I'm here, because doing this thing is like takes time to figure things out, to to get everything up and running. Again, so I have to unplug the laptop and then plug in the next one, and it's just a real bore. So what I'm going to do is run the grid benchmark as well. So grid normally does pretty well on this. And then I'm also going to run a Windows game, so I'll just go figure out which one I'm going to run. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see, video. Okay, so VSync off full screen, and then we'll choose a preset. It's ultra high. So this is ultra high. Need to restart. Okay, ultra high. Let's do that again. So let me see, grid, 1080p ultra high. So 16 gigabytes. Let's see what the score is going to be. Do you think M5 Pro and M5 Max are going to be as substantial an uplift over previous generations? Yes. Basically, the base chip is a really good indicator of what the Pro and the Max will be able to achieve. Normally in a 2x, 4x multiplier. So M5 Pro will be twice as fast, I expect. M4 Max will be 4 times faster than this. And you know, you're going to pay for it too. Okay, so let's do ultra high. So this is ultra high 1080p. Metal effects, it says it's off. Okay, let's just benchmark. Let's use the same number. Yeah, I'm really close to 100K. Let's just refresh this a bit. Yeah, I'll just go to my browser window. 955, so 45 left. So if you know 45 people who need to subscribe to my YouTube channel, then please let me know. It would be lovely to get this working in the next, get over the hump in sometime today, maybe later this evening. That'd be fun. Okay, so I'm just going to eat something while I'm waiting. My wife made these bao, they're really good, from scratch, with the dough and everything. Everyone needs to subscribe. If you're able to chat in right now, then you means you have to subscribe in order to chat. If you know other people who haven't subscribed, then it'd be nice to include them. Thanks to Ruham. You've been watching since day one. The goat of Mac gaming. Thank you. I don't think this benchmark is pushing the RAM limits enough. But it's very close. We're using 9 gigabytes, 9.27 gigabytes. It's slightly misleading. Like, I never really know, like that Metal HUD is telling me the app and is using a total of 9.36 gigabytes. But if I go into the activity monitor, it's not going to be exactly the same. Okay, let's have a look. So the average is 81.38. Let's write that down. 81.38. Okay, so that's our 16 gigabytes. We might run that one again, actually, just to make sure it's good. Look out of this. I'm going to quit this benchmark. Oh, let's just check memory pressure as well. Didn't go into swap. How do I quit out of this? So I tried very high just now. Oh, sorry, ultra high. Let me just try something that will push it even harder because I can't really see it. You've likely talked about it before, but what are the chances of an Apple equivalent of Proton? I mean, Apple are throwing their money behind the development of Game 14 Toolkit, and it's getting regular updates. New games are working all the time, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Bugs are getting fixed with Rosetta 2 to get those games working. Just do that again, actually. So in a sense, Apple are developing Proton. They're just hiding it behind this idea of a developer beta. So it's Game Porting Toolkit's for developers to test Windows games on, to try and ascertain any shortcuts to, porting a game over to the Mac OS. But it's being used now to actually not just test games, but to play them as well. It's a very viable route to actually play actual games. So in effect, Apple are making Proton. They're just not being completely honest about it in a sense, because they're fixing bugs with, getting specific new games to work all the time, right? And I don't really believe that it's for developers only, right? It seems like a prototype tool, like a back door to get Proton onto Mac. And they must be spending a lot of money on it and time, and it's been featured on the stages and stuff. It's part of the marketing. It's gone through 3 iterations now, so we're on 3.0. It'll get released soon officially. But basically, it is Proton for Mac, and it just doesn't have the same messaging as something like Valve would throw behind and say, Valve would say, yeah, this is Proton, and it lets you run 95% of your Windows library on Steam OS, on a Steam Deck. That's what we're going for. With Apple, they seem to be doing the similar kind of work, working closely with code weavers, trying to get these Windows games running on a Mac. But they're couching it behind the idea that it's only for developers. It's only for developers to test. It's a testing environment. It's not a playing environment. It's not a consumer gaming environment, which is a real shame, because if they could just throw their weight behind it, then people might take Mac gaming a bit more seriously. Steam ships with Proton, or is it added by Windows? I just don't get why it isn't just there. Steam ships with Proton. What does that mean? If you buy a Steam Deck, or if you run Steam on Linux, then yes, you're going to be, the package is in Proton already, so it is there. It's not part of Windows. You have to. It's part of a non-Windows operating system versions of I'll say the Linux version of Steam specifically. Okay, 81.588. Yeah, it's very similar. So we had a score of 81.38. So I'll just take that score instead. So it's very close. I could probably push it if I go to higher resolution, but I don't want to do that right now. Okay, so that's 3 games that we're going to look at, and then I will just look at a Windows game quickly. So let me just run something complex. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but let's just run something hard. Something like something I usually use a lot of RAM. Something like Uncharted or something. Something's got memory leak as well. Let's see what I've got here. Rebirth as well. That would be good to test. Is there anything that's got a benchmark? Let me just look at my notes. What good Windows games does Uncharted have a benchmark? Does Borderlands 4 have a does Borderlands 4 have a benchmark? Let me just check because I've got Borderlands 4. Because the old Borderlands games had benchmarks, right? I play Zelda Breath of the Wild on my M4 base model with capped 45 FPS, native 2K resolution. It's gorgeous, much better than on Switch 1. I love it. Also added thermo padding and got one of the magnet coolers. There's a lot of like aftermarket stuff to get just to get your air to run slightly better. I actually bought Switch 2 in August and having a lot of fun playing the Breath of the Wild on official hardware. Um, but I suspect that playing it on a Mac is obviously simpler than trying to get the whole thing on running through an emulator with all the bugs and stuff. But yeah, emulation's getting really good. Even though I'm gonna have to do an update video at some point. But Ryujinx under Ryubug under Green Dev is still being updated, and it's looking really good. Personal top favorite games. I'm gonna make a video about this soon. I've recorded everything, all of the B-roll for it already. My favorite games are Clair Obscur. I love that's a really good game. Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 2, Planescape Torment. These are all like big older RPGs. Final Fantasy 7 original. I'm kind of finding the remake a bit of a slog to get through. I've got 2 roguelikes I really like, Slay the Spire and Balatro. Excellent roguelike games. Roguelike. And also, what else do I like? I used to love playing Quake 2, like a lot. Quake 2 was a really good game. I used to play old multiplayer and played with a lot of mods like Rocket Arena. Used to love that a lot, but I haven't played it for over a decade, so I can't really count it as a favorite game. And let me think, what else do I really like? It's kind of hard to say. I haven't finished that many games. I think big RPGs is something that I've really enjoyed playing in general. Minecraft Dungeons was Windows only too. I guess it would work through crossover. Yeah, there's some kind of bug. Did this crash? Game already running. That's weird. Here's a question from 2012. Can I run Doom 3 BFG? Yeah, if you look at the Mac source ports again, then there's a Doom 3 Mac source port for Doom 3 called Doom. There's one. Doom 3. So I'm not sure this is the BFG edition, but it's there's a port that you can use on M1 and it works well, I think. Have you tried out Quake inspired games like Ultra Kill and Straftat? Not really, no. These are like the boomer shooters, right? Even though boomers didn't really play them, it's really millennials who played the boomer or Gen X who played the boomer shooters. I don't have that much nostalgia necessarily for those types of games. Oh, right now I'm really into playing Diablo 3. I just did a whole seasonal character for Whirlwind Ren Barbarian. That was been fun. And then I'm playing Split Fiction with my daughter. It's so good. It's such a good game. Split Fiction is so good. It's so much like budget and art and good voice acting and fun puzzles and stuff that my 8-year-old daughter and I are playing that together right now during half term. So I think that's quite impressive that you could build a game that works that well, works beautifully in co-op, works on a Mac as well. If you've got an M1 Pro or above, then you can play Split Fiction. Just get 2 controllers paired up, and then you can play it. Can you tell me how the battery life is on the new M5? If playing games will last for 4 to 5 hours, heavy games and minimal games, and as per experience, how's battery on MacBook? If you play native games at low settings, then it will run very well. I haven't really tested this on battery, I'm afraid. But based on my experience with the M3 Max MacBook Pro, the battery life doesn't last that long if you're doing anything intensive. So if you're playing a game, I'd expect it to last 3 hours, something like that. Because when I was playing Claire Obscure on it, it also depends what game you're playing and what settings you use. That's very important. There's lots of ways on a Mac to reduce the amount of strain that's being put on the Mac. You can use switch res X to cap the frame rate and then use VSync. So something like even something as low as 24 hertz is possible. Ryan Watson, does Roblox allow for 120 hertz refresh rate? Yes, you can run it like that. I think you have to uncap it. I remember doing it before. Borderlands 4 is the worst Unreal game, possibly, yeah, but it might be a good way to test this because I just want to experience the memory pressure. So here we're going into swap already from compiling shaders, which is an interesting sign of things to come. So Borderlands 4 is already using 10 gigabytes and Steam uses a bit as well. So this is where we start work coming into issues on the Mac. Let's see if we can get a benchmark running. Or are there any other Windows games which have interesting benchmarks? Let me think. I guess I could just play Uncharted or something, but I know for a fact that has a bit of a memory leak. So not necessarily. It could be interesting to put it together, to be honest. What do you think about Dying Light? I haven't played much Dying Light original, but that has a Mac version, of course, which is pretty good. Just gonna get myself another drink and I'll be right. Check it out. Oof. So I've got my next Mac to test out here. Confusingly, it's the same color. So that's why I put a little 24 gigabyte sticker on this little part here. And we'll test this one next. Once these shaders have compiled, I'll run the benchmark if there is such a thing. I think there is a benchmark. Because Borderlands 3 had a benchmark. There's no built-in. Okay, that's kind of a waste of time then, because I want to do. But are we entering memory pressure? Well, and you know what? I'll run part of the game, I guess, through this. That should looks, by the way. Thank you. Code Weaver's shirt. They've got some really cool merch. It's a really high quality top as well. It's good. Have I tried out RPCS3? Yeah, I've tried RPCS3 before. I've got lots of videos on that on the M4 chip as well. So you can have a look. You can have a look at that when it's good. Would it be a waste of time? Would it be a waste to buy a base M5 with 32 gigabytes? Depends what you're doing with it, and that's kind of what I'm going to be testing today. Is what the difference is between 16 and 24 and 32 gigabytes, because there's like a substantial price difference. And you might be better served off by just waiting for the M5 Pro, which is going to have more RAM normally. So the last generation M4, sorry, what's the base configuration M4 Pro Mac? What does that have? If you buy it, then if you buy an M4 Pro, then you get 24 as a minimum. So don't really necessarily face the same types of problems. M4 Max, we get 36 gigabytes of unified memory. Can I test some GOG preservation games? What are GOG preservation games? I've got lots of GOG games. I'm not sure what a GOG preservation game is. Do you think I'll have a big input lag if I plug the M3 MacBook Air to a TV with HDMI 2.1 plus a controller? You shouldn't have much input lag. Just make sure to turn on game mode, or make sure that um, make sure you have decent settings. You're not trying to run the games at 4K, and it should be fine. Let's turn options up. Let's look at our visuals. So, what's the advanced setting here? Graphics preset. Onto medium. Full resolution. Is that going into memory pressure? It's already under pressure. Compressed memory 3.65. Yeah, so we're already over. So let's run a game, and then at medium. Oh, this menu is only getting 21 FPS. I have an M1 Max with 32 gigabytes. Is it worth update? I don't personally think that you should update unless you have some like valid work reason to do it. You don't want to play Dune the Dark Ages, but don't want to buy a new game console and a new PC. Yeah, we're not going to see it for a while, not until proper Vulkan drivers come to macOS. There's work being done on that front with Cosmic Crisp and bringing over the work done by Asahi Linux team onto Mac. But until that happens, right, we're still, it's not good. See, yeah, we can see here, memory pressure is orange. Swap used 4.24. So even though the game is only using 13 gigabytes of RAM, I try and compare like for like. So what I could do is just load up this exact save and just do a comparison. It's bad, right? So what setting am I on? So I'll just note this down. So on Borderlands 3, we're at Borderlands 3, we are at 1080p, medium, no metal effects off. No upscaling, and then 16 gigabytes. So in this particular area we're looking at, yeah, it's like 27 frames per second. So I'll just note that down in my list. So below here you can see, let's have a look. Walk towards. Let's just walk towards here. It's kind of boring. Yeah, 26, 27 frames. One more question. When playing Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, also a little audio cracking and fix. I'm not sure about that game. You'll have to check it later. There probably is some fix available online. Some of them involve changing the frequency, the hertz frequency of specific MIDI audio outputs. Sometimes that helps. Let's try something a bit more exciting. Uncharted. How about Path of Exile 2 test? I've done a Path of Exile 2 test before, not on M5. Runs through crossover. Okay, let's do it. It's interesting that metal HUD doesn't appear. Okay, now it's up. Would there be any difference to run PoE2 on Crossover Preview over original one? Yeah, probably, because Crossover Preview has the latest, the one that got released last week. It has the latest game porting toolkit 3.0 beta 5, and it has various fixes. And it's been a long time since Crossover 25.1 has been released, and a lot has happened since then. Let's do a Thief's End. Graphics. Let's do, yeah, so here we've got the memory. If we do memory or not. For some reason, it's not displaying correctly, I guess. Let's do high. Apply changes. Let's turn FSR off. Okay, let's see how this goes. How is Rebirth performance on later stages of the game? I'm struggling with M4 Max. FPS drops down to 80 to 30 frames. Not sure what's causing the problem. Maybe heating. I'm not sure. I haven't got that far in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm afraid. But luckily, 30 FPS isn't the end of the world. Still playable. At least it's not 10 FPS, which is unplayable. Let me make the notes of this. So, Uncharted, 1080p, no upscaling. We need to check what the Oh, Rodrigo, I've been following your live stream since the day I bought the first spec, and I used to constantly bother you about how to run Overwatch 2. I'm very proud and happy to see you reaching 100,000 subs. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Overwatch 2 worked for a bit through Parallels, then it worked through Crossover, and now it doesn't work due to a Rosetta bug. So sorry if I brought you into Mac Gaming thinking that you could play Overwatch 2, but unfortunately you can't. Not at the moment. Maybe it'll come back soon. Thank you very much for the well wishes. Yeah. Okay, so this is a game which does have issues running. This is Uncharted 2, so
Squiggles and scratches must mean something. Sun and moon. Alchemy symbols for gold and silver. Wait a sec. I saw something like this on the letter. Huh.
let's look at the memory pressure. Yeah, it's 4 gigabytes of swap being used.
That's part of the symbol. Here's the other half. Now then. That's more like it. Okay, got a zodiac symbol. Sagittarius. And the Scorpio sign.
Can I load like an earlier part of the game? I'll restart checkpoint.
Cell.
That memory pressure is not looking good. So the UE4, Uncharted 4, using 4 gigabytes, and also Crossover and Steam are using resources as well. Road to freaking 100K. Yeah, it's coming today. It's happening today sometime. I'm gonna skip this bit. Yeah, I think The Last of Us will be quite challenging to run to.
This is really not good. Hold on! Nathan! They're gaining on us! I know! I'm cranking! I'm going
How do I skip this bit?
as fast as I can!
Okay, this is an interesting way to benchmark the game because this part is like static.
Oh shit! Here they come! Enough smaller boats! Ram 'em! Got it!
It's about 50 FPS here. So what are we running this at again? It's a preset high. Let me just note that down.
Hey assholes! Tell your bosses to find their own damn treasure! Down you go! I'm not doing much damage here. Just keep at bay.
Graphics, yeah, it's going to about 40 here. You can do a comparison of crossover preview versus regular one. That'll be interesting. There's some graphical issues here. I can see like the enemies kind of flickering. The boats of the enemies are flickering in and out. So that ain't perfect. Ooh, that's bad. You see, this is bad because of the memory pressures getting higher. That frame rate is just tanking really bad. Yeah, we're on like single digit frames now. Whew. It's looking rough. Ooh. Yeah, very unstable. Okay, that's an interesting test. I might start with Uncharted 4. Oh, it's building shaders as well. That's not. Oh, it's building shaders. That's going to take time too. But you should be able to build shaders and run the game at the same time. There shouldn't be one or the other. Okay, let's cut out this. Put this poor Mac through so much crap. Dying. It is but a mere base M5 though. So I really want to test out proper differences. So I think I'll start with 32 gigabytes. Let me just configure this Mac correctly. just eject my solid state drive. Okay, let's see how this is going. Okay, plugging everything in. Okay, good. So okay, so we've got us 32 gigabytes of memory instead. So let's have a look. 32 gigs. This didn't restore my time machine backup correctly. Okay, forget this. I want to do my 24. 32 did not copy my data correctly. Okay, 24 gig. Let's see what you can do. Yeah, how does Rust run? Probably not very well still. Still one of those weird Apple silicon ports which don't work as well as they should. Okay, so let's run these benchmarks again. So let's I'm gonna start off with, you know what, I'm gonna start off with Uncharted 4 because it's gonna be more interesting to look at that than it is to look at anything else. Whoops, didn't need GarageBand. It's because I've modified it and copied it from another system. So I probably need to download a crossover preview again. It's going to do that now because there's a new version which has all the same fixes that we had from before. So this is from 23rd of October, which is not that long ago. Okay, I'll just sort this out. Okay, that's just downloading. Do you like those good old Java phones which ran J2ME games? Yeah, I did. I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to do stuff like get Doom and Pokemon running as like little standalone Java emulator with the RAM baked into it. I used to have a lot of fun messing around with that. I should have just like made videos then because that would be really interesting. How do you play Pokemon on your Nokia phone? How do you play Doom on your Nokia phone? Because as far as I know, I was like the only one of the few people to do it. At the time period. I used to love doing that stuff. Just like hacking and getting games working where they shouldn't be working, you know? Such a fun thing to do. Okay, so just copy this. Oh yeah, I should really. Okay, so crossover preview. And then I've got my sound to work correctly, so. It should be the same bottle and everything. So you recently got your hand on the wireless toolkit and use it to make games for the phone. For that old phone. That's quite. Who's playing those old games? Who on earth is playing all those old games? No, it shouldn't stutter through HDMI ports. Okay, let's see. What do we play before? We played Uncharted, didn't we? So 24 gigabytes of RAM is what we're playing with at the moment. So more than before. Let's play that first level again. Yeah, it's fine. Hi, Mac Pro Tips. An early congratulations. I've been watching your videos for years. You're the reason I got into Mac gaming and YouTubing in the first place. 100K is well deserved. Thank you very much, Mac Pro Tips. Thank you for joining the stream today. And it's nice to have more Mac YouTubers around. I'm glad. I think way more people should be doing what I'm doing. I'm still surprised to this day that not enough people, not that many people actually do this, because there seems to be like a small but dedicated audience interested in this kind of thing. So Naughty Dog loading up. Let's see. Hi, Andrew. Hope you get to 100K very soon. I hope so too. Okay, so we had advanced graphics set to high, right? Apply changes. And then we had upscaling turned off. So off. Okay, so let's try that first level again. And see if that boat scene stutters as much as it did before. In the meantime, I'm trying to get my time machine back up to work correctly. Because like my 32 gigabyte version of my Mac should also, there'll be a better test. Because I want to see what the memory pressure is like. Auto 64, I just received them last week, Mac Studio, and man, it's the beast for streaming. After discovering some issues with OBS, I was able to solve them yesterday. Great. What kind of stuff are you streaming? Auto 64? What are you doing with your Mac? Okay, gaming PC with HDR. Yeah, Mac Studio would be a decent way to do capture video. So I'm just restoring my M5, my backup correctly, because just redoing it again, because it didn't seem to copy my, I don't want to redo all the crossover and all that stuff again. It's real boring. Okay, let's see how this intro sequence goes. So the last game kind of tanked. Let's just make sure we've got nothing running. Okay, good. Yeah, it really tanked in after like about a minute of playing this bit of this scene. Is it gonna go? It's gonna do the interactive part, right, with the boat, or is it gonna skip that entirely? Oh, here we go. So the app is already using 15 gigabytes, which in theory is already not enough to run this game properly. For some reason, when I start streaming again, encoding saturation error, it turns out that rebooting OBS solved everything. Does that happen? Do you need to reboot every time to do that? There's another guy who streams a lot from Mac called Mystical OS, who's a World of Warcraft dev, like add-on dev and streamer. You can change some codec settings as well. I'm not sure which codecs are best for current Macs. Yeah, so there's drops in frame rate, but we're still maintaining that 49. We're not going into that single digits, you know? Because like with the situation with the RAM on a Mac is that basically it'll perform the same, you know, when you're if it doesn't consume that much RAM, but as soon as you try to do anything challenging, like running a Windows game through translation layers like this, then yeah, it's gonna really tank your frame rate like a lot. So the last test, this was going into 7 frames per second because I was hitting that memory pressure. Did I just die there? Should have moved, right? Just check activity monitor for some confirmation. So you can see that 24 gigabytes is enough for this, even though we are actually going into swap anyway. It's still better than the last bit. Okay, that's an interesting test. Okay, let's do okay, let's do, I guess we could do some Borderlands 4 while I've still got crossover preview open. Yeah. Try all of them. I looked like X264 was the solution until yesterday. I found a channel with just 250 subs and the lady demonstrated that she was able to do it without any issues. Okay. Ask Mystical OS for some tips because he knows everything. You find him on his Discord and it's very, very candid about Mac settings. Because I don't stream directly from a Mac. I use a PC to do the streaming because I just find it a lot easier to customize, put more solid state drives in for quite cheap. And you know, because I've got a 4080 Super, I encode in AV1 using the NVIDIA encoder, so that works fine. You replicated how configuring a GVC. Okay, good. I also wonder if Windows version of UE5 editors can be run on Mac with Nanite and Lumen, because not all plugins are compatible for macOS. I don't know, actually. Like the dev side of that is a bit weird. So this has to compile shaders, I think. Might just let this one cook for a bit. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, shaders are compiling. Let's have a look. It was able to do 4K and vertical 1440p, and CPU was at 8% usage. Okay, that's pretty good. Can I run COD MW3, brother? Single player, yes. Through Parallels, I haven't tried it through Crossover. Not multiplayer though, I don't think. Let's look at the memory pressure again. Um, it's all in the green this time instead of last time it was orange. I just I forgot I've been watching you for a while. Sorry. No, it's fine. Perfectly fine. I watch a lot of YouTube channels myself, which I'm not subscribed to because the algorithm does all the work and it shows you content that you're interested in, not just who you're subscribed to. People that you actually watch, not just people you click the button to confirm that you watch that. Yeah, this compiling shaders works better than before. Um, okay, let's see. Yeah, so we're going to do. Let's get my notes out. So this is 24 gig. We'll see what that level that I load up is. It's not very exciting when I'm not doing much gameplay on it. Yeah, it's weird. You think YouTube recommend you do that, but oh well. YouTube just doesn't. There's a lot of people who. There's a lot of people who There's a lot of people who complain that you only want to see things that you subscribe to, but really the YouTube algorithm is all about trying to serve videos and interests for you that are interesting to you. So I think that this idea that YouTube should only show you videos or content that you subscribe to is kind of short-sighted. I think I wouldn't be able to have that kind of reach unless the YouTube algorithm was able to work for me as well, and serve people who weren't subscribed to me or related to people that you already subscribed to. I don't even know who I'm subscribed to. I must be subscribed to thousands of channels. I'm a pretty new Mac gamer, but I've been watching for a while. I don't know. I was like making stuff work where it shouldn't. Me too. Me too, brother. Okay, let's do shaders compile. So I'm going to put this on 1080p medium with no upscaling. And in the 16 gigabyte version, we're getting 27 FPS when I loaded up the save. So hopefully we'll have some more information there. Rust stuttered on M4, will it stutter on M5? I mean, probably it's just a bad port. I mean, I played it, I've done tests on it on my M3 Max and it runs badly there too. Check out my 39 multiplayer games on Mac video because I'm pretty sure I ran Rust on a M3 Max. And this was only about 7 or 8 months ago. And M3 Max is far more powerful than the base M5. Okay, I can see my 32 gig is still transferring data. While I'm waiting, I'm gonna go do some walking on my treadmill for a bit. Okay, let's let Borderlands 4 restart, and then we'll load up that bit of the level. I think it was about Yeah, 27 FPS, medium, no upscaling. So we just got to load that up. GW, you should have experienced Hackintosh times running macOS on Windows hardware. Yeah. That'd be wild. It's wild. Wild getting stuff working where it shouldn't be working. Love jailbreaking stuff. Funny thing, M3 MacBook Air actually gets better battery in Tahoe than Sequoia, at least according to some tests I've forgot where I read it from. It all depends on what you're running, okay? I don't have the patience to do battery tests, even though I should. They ported to Apple Silicon now about 10 months ago, and my M1 Pro getting to 45 FPS. Just wondering if at any point it could be checked. Just got a 3DS just to jailbreak it. I don't really plan it, just have it. Yeah. 3DS is a great console to get into. I think the prices are going up. It's so easy to do because there's no hardware involved in doing the jailbreak, and there's quite a mature community about it. Wii U as well. Wii U is quite fun to get into because that's a very mature ecosystem of jailbroken software and hacks and fixes. Can I try Elden Ring? Oh, yeah, I've tested Elden Ring before on my 2 streams ago, so you can check out my video I made like last week. I got a 3DS when a second hand was $100. Now it's more like 300. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Now, what is cheap right now is Switch Lights. I've actually bought a couple of Switch Lights for my kids, about 70 or 80 pounds. You can get a Switch Lite for. You can do a shell swap if they're scratched up. Put a screen protector on, put a nice case on it. Not for jailbreaking. That requires like a hardware mod. You need some soldering, but just running the legit Switch library on a 70, 80 pound device is such a joy. Yeah, I've been really playing around with the Switch Lite lately because like it's become my everyday carry device because my Steam Deck is too big. If I go to the supermarket or something and I'm waiting for my wife to come out, or I've been doing a lot of IKEA trips lately, and waiting in the line is long, right? I had to get some stuff refunded, and it just takes ages to get. So the Steam Deck is too big to fit into my hoodie pocket, but the Switch Lite fits fine, and because it's so cheap, I don't really mind throwing it around a bit. It can take quite a beating because I know it's easy to replace. So there are some interesting Switch games which sync. Like I'm playing Hades 1 and 2, like double dipped into buying them, and those games synchronize with your Steam save as well. So that's a really good one to carry around with you. So that'll synchronize on Mac, Windows, and Switch, which is really cool. Okay, let's see where we are. Do you remember what kind of FPS it was managing to get in Elden Ring? Well, just look at one of my old videos, okay? Let's have a look. M5 Mac. This one, it's my video. Oh, just watch my ads, watch my ads. Elden Ring. So what we were getting was, let's see. 1080p high at about 53 FPS. That's on the base 16 gigabyte model. So I wonder what I'll get on this. You're right. It'll be interesting to test, but I'm testing out like higher end. Yeah, man, Switch Lite's $50 on eBay. It's really good. People are just dumping them to buy Switch 2s. And the fact is that the Switch 2, which I also own, doesn't have much of a library. Most of the games I play on it are Switch 1 games. It's such a good throwaway device because, like, I used to be really into the retro handheld gaming scene. I'm even looking at this morning. I was looking at the AON Thor, the new like DS uh, kind of emulation device, and it's a lot of money. It's like $250, $300 to buy that. It looks beautiful though, but I'd be, if I carry that around, I'd be worried about scratching it or damaging it. And I have such a backlog of games. I don't really need emulate to emulate games. I'd rather just play the massive Switch library, which is just gigantic, and it shares a lot of games with Mac. There's a lot of games that are on Mac OS, which are on the Switch library, which and the Switch Lite is like barely bigger than an actual controller. If you compare it to the size and weight of like a DualSense versus a Switch Lite, right? They're quite similar in like bulkiness. You know? For what it's worth, my MacBook Air 900p gets 60 FPS on medium. It does chug like crazy in the DLC, so it might be worth testing that. Well, it could be that. How much memory do you have on your MacBook Air DW? Because that would be a factor, which we could test today, I guess. Elden Ring is already like a known factor. I know that it works well even on lower end hardware, but it's really these big Windows games which are kind of struggling to get good performance. Okay, let's let these shaders compile. Let's see how this goes. I just dug out my hacked 3DS out of storage, but given the fact that I already have an ROG Ally X on Steam Deck from my kiddo, I struggle to find any interest for it, tempted to sell. The 3DS is only going to become more valuable because I bought my 2DS XL maybe like 5 years ago for quite cheap. I can't remember what it was, but it was about £120 or something, £100. But I think now they're worth double. So hold on to that because those things are not going to be around forever. Okay, medium, upscaling, turned off. Apply settings. Okay, so let's load up my save. So last time we were getting 27 FPS at this exact graphics preset. Yeah, 16 gigabyte, 10 GPU core. Okay, so before we're getting 27, how come we're getting lower frame rate on this 24 gig machine? Let's have a look. Let's just check the RAM. Let's quit out Safari. Just check what we've got here. Upscaling off. Also, Pure makes the DLSS mods for it. Okay, these are my results. It's about 24 FPS. I must be doing something wrong because they should have the same FPS at the minimum. Okay, so let's see how we're going. Thermal nominal. About 24 at the moment. Okay, interesting. I think I might have to run that test again on the 16 gigabyte version, because at the very least it should be roughly the same. It's more than 10% different, which is quite substantial. Okay, let's try. Let's go to native gaming now, okay? So close Steam, close crossover, and open up our regular Steam. Sad there's no Mac port. Yeah, exactly. The last Borderlands game did not run that well. Okay, so what did we run before? We ran Grid. Oh, so we've got Cyberpunk. So let's do Cyberpunk here and run the same benchmark. Okay, so this should be. Let's see what this looks like on the 24 gigabyte. So 1080p native ultra, so no upscaling. So 10 upscaling off. I just ran Cyberpunk. Yeah, I'm running on a different computer now. So we're going to test this again at ultra with MetalFX off. Apply, run benchmark, confirm. So last time we were getting 29.6. So I wonder if this will work. Yeah, I still play B3 on Mac, not that bad in Apple Silicon. It might run better through crossover. I remember doing a test on that. The raw, it was like quite stuttery, but the raw frame rate was sometimes better, sometimes worse. Okay, 20. Has anyone gotten GOG games to work? Yeah, you can download GOG Galaxy and you can run the Mac games through that. Okay, 29.5. So this is exactly the same. So I'm going to need a better test to show memory pressure here, I think. This is not a very useful test. You need to think of this. So I need to maybe run them side by side. The Assassin's Creed one should be quite different though, because we were getting into memory pressure there. And we'll do Grid as well, okay? And then I might have to end the video quite soon just because I need to take my son to his sleepover. Half term. Am I going to test EAFC? So that won't work due to anti-cheat, I'm afraid. So if it doesn't work on a Steam Deck, it's not going to work on a Mac either. So sorry, I won't test that. So let's make some notes on this, 24 gigabytes. And then also got Grid. Can it run Crisis? Yeah, you can run Crisis on this. Do we cross over? Oh, sorry, sneezed. Yeah, it does run Crisis. It's not a joke. You can do it. We've been running Crisis on a Mac for some years now, and the remastered version works okay too. Okay, let's see how this goes. So our Cyberpunk test wasn't very conclusive because it ran the same on 16 and 24. So I need to devise a better test for this. Probably maybe high resolution as well. I thought I would get there just by turning off MetalFX. But apparently not. But overall, how's the M5 MacBook Pro? My friend and I were joking. How the spec sheet might as well be 1-to-1. Okay, yeah. Okay, I've just got to open the door. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so what I might do is we're going to benchmark Assassin's Creed Shadows, and then I'm going to have to go. But we're going to do the benchmark, and I want to test this properly. So what we had before was 1080p with scalability set with the overall presets set to let me see, very high. Okay, and then apply. Okay, let's restart the game, and then we're going to run the benchmark, making sure that the upscaling is turned off as well. Native AA, so no metal effects, just native anti-aliasing. So it just means yeah, M1 Pro is similar to the M5. I haven't compared them directly because I don't have an M1 Pro with me right now. I'd prefer to rerun the test rather than trying to guess, using old results. Okay. So display this. So we're going to turn this to native AA. So that's what we had. Apply. Okay, so very high 1080p. Let's see this. Let's see how this goes. So last time we were getting, let me just put this in the right place. So last time we were getting 20 frames per second. I would have expected this to be more different. Maybe I have to run it twice. Let me check if, did I use temporal upscaling before? Is that how it worked? Check my old results. Yeah, temporal before. Let me just check. Yeah, game mode was off as well. Because there's more headroom, it should be better, but it doesn't look much better at the moment. I need to devise a better test for this. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Escobar. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to get 100K maybe later today. I hope. Fingers crossed. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. But, you know, it's going to happen soon, I guess. Okay, so let's look at our frame rate. 20. So we're getting 20 again. Let me just write that down, 20. I wonder if there's going to be a bigger difference. Let me just check our memory pressure. Yeah, we're still within bounds. So I would have thought that would have made more of a difference. Okay. Well, I'll be testing this out a little bit more. I need to do the grid one as well. Grid Legends. Might as well just do the tests, complete them while I'm still here. So I think what we're going to do is end the stream in a moment. And what I'm going to do is probably later this evening, I might do another one, right? And we're going to continue the test and maybe devise something a bit different. Maybe instead of, maybe what I'll try to do is just run them all side by side physically. Then I can actually tweak my own tests so that I can actually find a proper test that's going to make a difference between all three devices. So it should be quite straightforward to do, I think. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining the stream today. I might be streaming again a little bit later, in which case I'll probably use the same thumbnail, similar title, and maybe you'll even catch it hitting over that 100K mark once the bit later today. I'm not sure yet, but tell your friends to subscribe to my YouTube channel because I would like to get to 100K later today. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will be back later. I'm not sure. Sometime later today, I will stream a bit more and continue my game testing, etc. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. See you, everyone. Thank you, DW, for coming to the stream. Thank you for everyone for chatting. I'll be back later.